So as the economy is slowly trying to get back up on its feet, and the market was up today, pretty good for the Dow, up over 500 points, and the unemployment rates aren't as bad as we were going to expect them to be as far as the month of May and now the month of June. There's starting to be some renewal of hope, glimmer of hope, and we're also going to be seeing another stimulus package hopefully passed in these next couple weeks. So Kamala Harris and Andrew Yang, who, as you know, is a big proponent of UBI or Universal Basic Income, is now renewing his calls for UBI or a type of it as far as this pandemic and for this year specifically. And now Kamala Harris is also renewing her calls for the stimulus package that she proposed, along with Bernie Sanders and Ed Markey. So here it is, Kamala Harris and Andrew Yang are now renewing their calls for $2,000 a month stimulus checks. So Kamala Harris and Andrew Yang are renewing their call this week for you to get a $2,000 a month stimulus check. So here's what you need to know. So the monthly stimulus payments. So Andrew Yang and Harris, both of whom, as you know, were 2020 presidential candidates, have championed a monthly stimulus payment for the remainder of the COVID-19 pandemic. Both of them have supported monthly stimulus checks. And Yang, in particular, centered his presidential campaign on the idea of UBI or Universal Basic Income, and that because 40 million people are unemployed now and struggling with a struggling economy, that is, now is the right time to create a safety net so Americans don't fall into further poverty or poverty itself. So here's the Harris plan. This is what she originally proposed, and I'll link the video down below where I did explain her proposal initially, but here's just a refresher. So Harris's plan would be the monthly Economic Crisis Support Act. So Harris, along with Senator Bernie Sanders, who also was the most recent person to suspend his campaign, he ran for the 2020 Democratic nomination, and Senator Ed Markey from Massachusetts, they introduced the monthly Economic Crisis Support Act. And this would do several things. Most notably, it would give everyone, almost everyone, a $2,000 a month stimulus check to anyone earning up to $120,000 per year annually. The monthly payment begins to phase out starting at $100,000 per year, so you're not going to make as much or receive as much if you're making the six-figure mark. So married couples who file jointly every year for taxes, they would receive up to $4,000 every month. You can also receive $2,000 for each dependent, but that's a maximum of 3 dependents, so you're not going to be able to give all of your 8 children $2,000 a month. And the legislation would be retroactive to March 2020, so you would not only get for the coming months, but you'd also get the lump sum of cash, whether that be upfront or at the end of the period. It's unknown, but you would get the amount of money that you would be entitled to since March. Every U.S. resident can receive payment regardless if they file taxes or if they have a Social Security number. And the payments would last until 3 months after the end of the pandemic. Now, that's a little bit vague. There's a more specific level as far as the unemployment rates have to return. Now, Harris, as we know, is a potential running mate for Joe Biden. She's being considered, which is quite coincidental, as they had at it in the Democratic debates quite a bit. But she said, quote, "The government should be here for the people in a moment of crisis. People should be able to count on their government to see them and to create a safety net for them so that these people don't fall into poverty or further into poverty during the course of this pandemic." Now, this is not a stimulus package. This is not going to be passed. Don't get your hopes up, but it's just showing how Yang's vision is starting to be intertwined into these stimulus packages. And even though he lost and was one of the earlier people to drop out, it's amazing how his vision is still continuing on and is being carried out through this entire pandemic with all these proposals that members from the House and Senate are like, mostly on the Democratic side, of course, are using his ideas and really taking after him. See, as you know, Yang did propose a 1,000 month stimulator for life. So that would be his UBI vision, where if he was president, I don't know if it would be passed, but if he was president, his hope would be that almost every American gets $1,000 a month, no questions asked, for their entire lifetime. That would be what's called a freedom dividend. That's what he coined it. And under his plan, every U.S. citizen over the age of 18 would receive $1,000 a month or $12,000 per year, no questions asked. There are no requirements to receive this money. There's no test. You don't have to have a high IQ. You don't have to be a high school graduate. You don't have to be a college graduate. You don't have to go through some system. Just every American, 18 and over, U.S. citizen, $1,000 a month. These are guaranteed payments and would continue in perpetuity each month. Technically, you could still vote for Yang. You could write him in at the ballot in the primary if your state hasn't voted yet in the Democratic primary. Or you can also write him in this coming November. So in theory, he does have a chance. So if you really want that $1,000 a month, perhaps write him in. But if you don't want Biden or Trump to win, perhaps writing in someone would not be the best way to go, depending on which side you're on, of course. Now, if you want Joe Biden to win this November, smash that like button. If you want Trump to win this November, also smash that like button. No matter which side you're on, let's unite. Smash that like button, just turn it blue or red. Might turn red if you're voting for Trump. We'll see what happens. But smash that like button nonetheless. Yang said he would pay for UBI, or Universal Basic Income, through 4 sources of income. Now, I have covered his vision many times on this channel throughout all these stimulus packages, but here's a good breakdown of exactly how he would plan to get that money. Obviously, the first question is, well, that's going to cost a hell of a lot of money. Where are you going to get those funds and resources? So, number 1, current welfare spending. Yang says that those who already receive social benefits can choose to keep their current benefits or receive $1,000 a month, but could not receive both. So if you're on Social Security, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to choose. Chances are, though, that the $1,000 a month would probably be more beneficial, as Social Security is being depleted. It's going to be cut no matter who's president. It's just going to run out. That's what the studies and research shows us. The extra income can help individuals avoid jails and hospitals. And number 2, value-added tax, or VAT. This is done in other countries. Yang estimates that a 10% value-added tax on products or services can generate $800 billion of annual revenue. Now, for those who don't know what a value-added tax is, it's essentially a tax on an upgrade of those goods and products or services through the flow of who you're giving them to. So the textbook definition is an indirect tax which is charged at the time of consumption of goods and services and is levied when a value has been added over various stages of production or distribution, right from the purchase of raw materials till the final products are sold to the retail consumers. So it's a tax on something that gets value added as that product goes through the chain of manufacturer to retailer to consumer. And so it's a tax on that system and that chain. So here's sort of the lifespan of any raw material. Here's what it will look like throughout time. So when a consumer buys something, there's a tax placed on that the consumer buys. But the retailer also pays a tax when they get it from the manufacturer. The manufacturer pays a tax when they get it from the raw materials producer, like a farmer or something of that nature. So there's a tax in each step of the flow of this system here. Now, even though Yang will not win the 2020 presidential election, and he may not win the 2024 election, it's still good to look at his plan, because you can use his idea for the resources for other plans and perhaps even for stimulus packages. So where else would he be getting this money? Well, it would also come from economic growth. So with stable monthly income, Yang believes recipients will spend their money in the economic. So this economic growth can generate $800 to $900 billion according to Yang. So what he's saying is that the money that just goes right into the pockets of Americans, $1,000 a month, is just going to be circled right back into the economy, which in turn creates more. You know, that kind of sounds like a pyramid, but it's not. But if you want to steer clear from pyramid schemes and scams of the nature, I did a video a while back that went a little bit viral, not going to lie. And it was a video covering the Cash App scam. It's also called the Circle scam, or the Cash Loom, or the Blessing Loom. So many different names from it. But it's kind of resurfacing now after a few years of being in the dust with this pandemic. I suppose people are getting very desperate. So they're looking to do things like this. And maybe it's fading away, but still look out. I'll link that down below in the description. The Circle Cash App scam. I did a video on that as well. Taxes. This is where Yang wants to tax the hell out of large corporations like Amazon. So Yang would fund the remaining costs of the Freedom Dividend, or $1,000 a month, through a financial transactions tax, by ending favorable treatment for capital gains and carried interest, by removing the cap on Social Security, and through a carbon fee. Our problems have accelerated, where we have experienced 10 years of displacement in 10 weeks, Yang said. But we have a real chance here to alleviate poverty. Right, there are multiple bills that would put $2,000 a month into the hands of every American for the duration of the pandemic, which we all know may extend for months, even years on end. So will there be a $2,000 a month stimulus per individual of the household? I'm going to say it's unlikely. I don't see that ever passing. There have been multiple proposals for a $2,000 a month stimulus check, and I've covered a lot of those proposals through other videos. If you've seen any of them, you would know this is a reoccurring theme. Mark Cuban, billionaire himself, owner of the Dallas Mavericks, have proposed giving Americans $1,000 every 2 weeks. However, Senate Republicans have opposed monthly stimulus checks, and none of the current proposals, including the HEROES Act, are expected to pass in their current form. And we know this. Republicans have already said the bill is dead on arrival, no chance of passing, and if it ever miraculously did pass the Senate, Trump has said he would not be in favor of the HEROES Act as it stands today. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has said that the next stimulus bill would be the final and last bill. No more stimulus after the next one is passed, no matter what it includes. And it will not include a monthly stimulus check. So this is very unlikely. I would never depend on this income, never depend on the government necessarily for your source of income. You have to just take it upon yourself. It's going to be tough, but if you get through the tough times, then you can get through anything. Now, some Senate Democrats are focused on extending unemployment benefits. We've talked about the $600 federal payment a week on top of the current unemployment that someone might be receiving, and Republicans are strongly railing against extending those benefits. In fact, they want to cut them right now, right here. And so Republicans have proposed, though, a $450 back-to-work bonus. I did a video on that as well. All these links will be down below in the description. So that's what the Republican vision is right now, is something that would incentivize people to work, incentivize them to get back to work. So Senator Ron Wyden has focused on extending, and then the one-time stimulus check has also come from the idea of Senator Ben Cardin, and that would be more targeted at Americans who are struggling the most. Now, the coincidence here is that even though Yang's vision is more unlikely and improbable to ever be implemented, at least in my lifetime, he has more of a plan for where those funds come from, as opposed to all of these other senators and House members that are just proposing and throwing out thousands of dollars a month. They should take a cue from Andrew Yang, learn from him, sit down with him, understand where you can get this money from and how it is doable and feasible. So we've heard crazy proposals like minting two $1 trillion coins. Yes, that's a real thing. I covered it in one of the proposals, that the Treasury has the jurisdiction, the power, the ability to mint these coins and use them for funding certain scenarios like this. It's very rare, never been done before, but the Treasury can do this. It's written into law. You just have to wonder, where is this money going to come from? If something like the $2,000 a month per person in the household would ever pass, are we going to be seeing higher inflation, higher taxes, and of the like? Might be very scary a few years ahead, as the pandemic is looking like it's going to have some effect, some lasting effect over these next few years. Some experts are saying even over the next decade, or some are saying that the virus may never, ever, ever go away, and it's just been so impermeated into the community and all of our cities that you just can't get rid of it, and it's just going to be something like the flu. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts as always. What do you think is the best route here? Are you more on the side of Harris's plan? Do you think we should just do the back-to-work bonus? Think we need $2,000 a month, $1,000 a month, more than that? Let me hear your thoughts down below in the comments. I'm curious to hear. But I hope you enjoyed this update. If you did, be sure that you give the video a big thumbs up, smash that like button. And if you'd like to see more videos from my channel, I post videos every single week covering business, finance, entrepreneurship, mindset, strategy, and tips and tricks from my own experience. Be sure that you do subscribe. I post videos every single week without fail, over a year now. And if you'd like to be notified every single time I make a new video so that you're first in line to see it before anyone else, be sure that you do hit that notification bell as well. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video.